Hello everyone and welcome back to a new Top Tips for Archaeology graduates. Today I'm joined by Natalie. Hi Natalie, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. So Natalie is a production apprentice at BBC Radio Solent. And so we're talking to her about her first steps. She graduated in 2020 into this role. So Natalie, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis as a production apprentice.
So it's in two parts. I do part studying and part working. So in the working environment, I will book guests. I will I will edit all of the clips to make sure that it runs really smoothly. Such a busybody of just whatever needs to get done. I'm kind of they always call to me to just, oh, could you just do this? Could you just hold a camera whilst I interview Russel Brand was one of the things that happened, as you do. So it's kind of a busybody, but then in the studying, I'm making sure that I get the qualifications to actually be, so then I don't need to do it with having people to check on me. I can just do it by myself, essentially. Yeah.
Fabulous. And what do you enjoy about it? What are some of the things you've enjoyed about this role?
I just love just talking to people and finding, so one of the main things I do is find we do a thing called Make a Difference, which is people and charities that have made a difference in the local community. I just love hearing their stories because they'll come from such really, it'll come from such really random places, and they'll be like, I did this, and you're like, oh okay, I did I decided to just randomly cycle from John O'Groats to Land's End, for example. And it's like, okay, that's thing, but everyone is just so, and everyone's just wanting to talk to you, and they're like, get the buzz of, oh, I'm talking to the BBC. And to me, I'm still kind of looking at my badge, my lanyard, going, this is where I work, right? This is where I work.
Oh, that's fabulous, really fabulous. I know that you're just beginning in this role, but what are some of the things that you find more challenging? What have been some of the challenges that you face?
Time management, I would say, definitely trying to balance between, because I'm doing a 9-to-5 job plus also studying. It's kind of getting that balance of making sure that I get out of the best out of the work side of the apprenticeship, but also I don't lack my studies. So kind of time management. And I think it's something but uni has actually helped, because of course you have to balance between having, your dissertation and your, all your different modules. It's kind of the same kind of feeling, but just add that as a 9-to-5 job rather than one lecture or another lecture.
Yeah, that is, you've taken on a lot then. It's quite a diverse role, it sounds like, during your 9-to-5 as well. There's lots of different things going on, and then you've got to settle yourself in the evenings to concentrate on your studies. So that does sound like something that is quite challenging to bridge. Can I ask, how did you go about getting your role and working for the BBC?
It was a long process. I applied last March and I got the role confirmed role in November, but started in January. There was a long process of, you had to talk, give a 90 seconds of why you're the best thing since sliced bread, and all of, then you had to have an assessment day, and I was meant to go for a different department, but they were so impressed with me at Solent that they were like, we want to have you. So
that's lovely.
A group assessment to kind of say, we had to plan this story, and she said, I was really impressed by you, so could we have another interview? And I was like, okay.
Oh, well done, Natalie, that's great. So it was quite an involved process though. Did you see an advert for it? Where did you see the advert, or was it something that someone had sent you?
It was because it happens every year. They do this process every year. So I also applied in 2020, but nothing happened because of a certain thing that was happening in the world at that moment. So it happens every year, and I think I was just following, because I wanted to go into media, so I kind of was following, because the BBC is a very, iconic brand to go with the media. So I always was kind of keep a check of the where jobs were available, but I always knew that they come up. So they do journalism, production is the one I'm on. They do data engineering. So it's a lot, there was like 200 in our cohort this year.
Wow.
All across the country. So yeah, you get to meet a load of different people, and yeah,
so it's about looking out for those adverts when they come available, and then making an application. And you had different strands and streams that you were kind of you could choose between, and you were interested in the production one. And it sounds like you've really landed on your feet in a something that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah, no, it was radio and TV, and they do online. So it's not just like front facing, presenting, kind of talking in front of a camera or behind a mic or whatever kind of thing. It's, if you just enjoy the media, that's kind of a good place to start.
Excellent. So can I ask, you've moved away from working in archaeology, but can I ask, do you draw on any of the skills that you learned during your archaeology degree in the work that you're doing now?
Well, because we cover so many stories, so there have been archaeology stories, so I'm just there going, yeah, I 100% know what I'm talking about. I also internalize don't mention Indiana Jones, otherwise I could feel all of my archaeology like colleagues going, please don't. But it's also things like time management, as I've said, because you've had to balance that. Also just I did my dissertation on archaeology and the media, so of course understanding of what things I picked out from and said, oh, that's not good practice because of like lack of resources or lack of things. So of course I'm now going, well, I can't critique what I should be doing. Also the communicating archaeology module in second year, I believe it was really helpful, because of course to show of how you can kind of communicate in different methods and in different ways of not necessarily minor or audio, but even like adding sounds or adding like layers to different things. It was very useful to kind of show that you could do different layers to show different things, which I found that was very useful for the job nowadays.
Yeah, and there was another point you made earlier about how they liked your ability to tell stories and to plan out a story. And I wondered if that was something that had come from your archaeology degree as well, and a little bit from communicating archaeology. And that's something that I see students develop across the 3 years, is beginning to take, say, an object and then being able to tell the narrative around it and put it into a way in which you can communicate that to the public or to other people.
Yeah, definitely the like storytelling aspect, and kind of also trying to look at an object and going, well, it could be this way, people could look at it this way, but people could also look at it that way, because with archaeology we're always kind of going, well, what's the this is trying to channel my archaeology back, but like the subjective way of looking at it, or the objective way, or different areas of archaeology, how would they look at it? So kind of you could look at one particular story and I can go from it very different angles, because I'm used to looking at those different angles in archaeology. Yeah, I can see that a lot. So I'm going to ask you my final question now. Thank you, Natalie. What are your top tips for anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps? So if anyone's listening to this now and they're keen on doing this apprenticeship and becoming a production apprentice, what do you recommend they do, or what kind of advice do you want to give? Well, university students, is because where I started doing radio was at university. So joining the local university radio station, big up for URY. So there is just literally, but there is a university radio station that you can go there. You can do it simultaneously to your like education, and just kind of, but in terms of studying, just making sure that you're doing your time management, you're kind of testing, because there wasn't you'd have to do this for your dissertation. You could choose whatever you wanted to do, and of course you can do media and archaeology. It's not like I focused on newspapers, but there's TV, there's radio, so you can really, and those 10,000 words are really, you can learn a lot in those 10,000 words, and it's really much your protection. It's what you want to learn out of it. So definitely, if for those second years choosing their dissertation and they're really keen about going into media, say if they were working in ERY and they're like, how can I make archaeology kind of get involved with that? Perfect thing is to use your dissertation to kind of express those different alleyways.
It's really fantastic advice, I think, and to, as you say, you can learn so much doing your dissertation, and aligning it with your interests is really key, but also thinking about how it might help you learn about the sector that you want to go into is really insightful advice, I think. Thank you very much, Natalie. So thank you, Natalie, so much for coming to talk to us today about your work with the BBC, and congratulations on your position. I know it's not been long since you've graduated, and it's such a pleasure for me in these interviews to see you guys making your first steps out in the world and finding things that you really love to do. That's the thing that I really
having me.
enjoy doing. Thank you. So thank you everyone as well to watching. Join us again next time for more top tips for archaeology graduates.